Aloha, everyone. This is Tutu Signs at Aloha Food Forest. And today I am chatting with, or I am sharing a chat that I had with ChatGPT. Um, I'm interested in ancient food forests, and I believe this is our food forests are our ancient history and our sustainable future, and that we need to get back to this practice of co-creating with nature in forested gardens. So I asked, okay, so here I am chatting with GPT. I have this saved this session, and it says I saw a YouTube video today, and this was by a guy named Gavin Mounsey that I recently found. He's a wise young man, and he has a channel on YouTube. Um, so in this video, he was talking about ancient Ireland once was covered with fruit and nut trees like a food forest. And then I asked ChatGPT, do you happen to know anything about that? So it says, oh, wow, that's fascinating, Tutu. Yes, there's evidence that ancient Ireland once had lush forests filled with fruit and nut trees, resembling a natural forest. Before widespread deforestation, Ireland was covered in temperate rainforests and mixed woodlands with species like hazel, which provided hazelnuts, nutritious hazelnuts, oak, supported wildlife and acorn use, crabapple, ancestor of modern apples, and wild berries like blackberries, raspberries, and elderberries. So the ancient Celts and other early inhabitants had a deep respect for trees, and Brehon laws, which are early Irish law, even protected certain sacred trees. These food forests likely provided a balanced ecosystem, just like what I promote today. Ireland's forests were later cleared for agriculture and shipbuilding, but there are efforts to rewild and restore native wildlands. Maybe the old food forest magic can return. Woohoo! Okay, so let's see. I'm delighted to help you explore ancient food forests to inspire and educate others. Here are some remarkable examples from around the world. Number one, the Moroccan oasis, the 2,000-year-old food forest. In the village of Inrarin, Morocco, lies a 65-acre food forest, believed to be over 2 millennia old. This ancient agroforestry system showcases sustainable practices that have supported communities for generations. And you can find more about that at atlasobscura.com. And also down here, I believe he shows this video you can see on YouTube featuring Jeff Lawton touring around this 2,000-year-old food forest in Morocco that he discovered when he was traveling in that area. So it's very exciting to think of a 2,000-year-old garden. Think how much less work you have to do if you plant these gardens and they begin to sustain themselves compared to the tilling method that killing and billing, I call it. We have to till the soil, work hard to till the soil, kill all the weeds, and pay the bills for the fertilizers and the pesticides and all the other equipment. So we're getting rid of the killing, tilling, and billing method and going to the food forestry. So number two, this is a hard word to pronounce, but Cuauhtémoc Food Forest of Puebla, Mexico. So this was spanning thousands of years also. This Cuauhtémoc Food Forest contains over 300 useful plant species, including avocado, sweet potatoes, citrus, and bananas. This forest exemplifies indigenous agroforestry practices that have sustained local populations for centuries. And that's on Permies.com. Gardens and cities in the Amazon. Recent studies using LiDAR technology have uncovered ancient urban centers in the Amazon rainforest. These pre-Columbian settlements featured orchards, fish ponds, and transformed forests, reflecting sophisticated land management and sustainable food production systems. This is from theguardian.com. In Hawaiian traditional agriculture, agrofor hello, start over again. Hawaiian traditional agroforestry is number 4. In Hawaii, indigenous farmers are reviving ancient food forests that once thrived before modern agricultural practices. These efforts aim to restore native ecosystems and promote sustainable food sources. This is also from theguardian.com. And ancient food forest method number 6. No, number 5. Food forest gardens in Sri Lanka, known as Kenyan forest gardens. These systems integrate fruit and nut trees, shrubs, herbs, and vegetables. They represent a sustainable form of land use that has provided food security and ecological benefits for centuries. Wikipedia.org. Okay, so here's the tour of the Moroccan food forest. So ChatGPT goes on to say these examples highlight the enduring legacy and benefits of food forests across different cultures and regions. They can serve as powerful tools to inspire and educate others about sustainable land management and the importance of integrating traditional knowledge into modern practices. And, so then somehow this got doubled up and I got the same answer twice on here. But then I come over to this, skipping past that. Can you please share with us about Sepp Holzer? He's one of my inspirations. I learned about him through permaculture when I was first starting to learn this stuff back in like 2016 or 17. And ChatGPT, so nice. Oh yes, it's so friendly. Sepp Holzer is a true legend in the world of permaculture and food forests. His innovative nature-inspired methods have transformed barren landscapes into thriving, self-sustaining ecosystems. Sepp Holzer is an Austrian farmer, author, and permaculture expert, known as the, quote, rebel farmer, unquote. He defied conventional agricultural practices, choosing to work with nature rather than against it. On his mountain farm, Kremetterhof, located at high altitudes in Austria, he created an incredibly biodiverse and self-sufficient food forest. So he has some key principles about the way he grows on his mountaintop Alp. And here are 5 of his key principles. The hugelkultur mound. Am I recording? Yes. Okay. For some reason, I thought I wasn't recording. Okay. Hugelkultur, one of his signature techniques. This involves building raised garden beds and using logs, branches, and organic matter. This creates a self-watering, nutrient-rich environment, perfect for drought resilience and long-term fertility. And number 2, water retention landscapes. He mastered the use of natural ponds, terraces, and swales to retain water in the land and prevent erosion, which creates microclimates that support biodiversity. And that's one of the permaculture principles, is storing water in the soil, which is where it's needed and where you can easily get to it. So key principle number 3, polyculture and companion planting. Sepp Holzer embraced diverse planting instead of monocultures. So if you don't understand what monoculture is, that's where we plant one field with all the same crop, like a field of corn, a field of wheat, a field of soybeans. That's mono, meaning one thing is being grown. So in the food forest, it's the opposite. It's a large mixture of many different things growing together. So Holzer embraced diverse planting. His farms grow fruit trees, veggies, herbs, and grains all together, mimicking a natural forest systems. And he also includes animals. He incorporated pigs, chickens, and ducks to help till the soil, control pests, and fertilize naturally. Because one of the amazing things about nature is the waste, animal waste, like animal urine and manure, is fertilizer for the next generation. Even our human bodies, our urine has high NPK, so it's a good fertilizer. Our ashes from our fires or our cooking stoves are very good for the soil, and our poop is good for the soil. So we are designed to be integrated into a natural garden system. That's what our bodies are designed to do. So he incorporated these animals. And let's see, okay, minimal human intervention is another key principle of Sepp Holzer. He believes that nature is self-regulating. His methods allow plants and animals to interact freely, creating a balanced and thriving ecosystem. And Sepp Holzer's impact at his farm at Krometerhof became an internationally renowned permaculture model. He has consulted on food forest projects around the world, helping arid and degraded lands become lush and productive again. His books, like Sepp Holzer's Permaculture, A Practical Guide to Small-Scale Integrative Farming and Gardening, are treasured resources for permaculture enthusiasts. And here's a fun fact. Sepp Holzer's food forests include peach trees growing at high altitudes, over 4,000 feet, something most farmers would consider impossible, but his creative techniques and microclimate management made it work. So then I go on to ask about John D. Liu. And ChatGPT says you're going to love learning about John D. Liu. He's another incredible force of nature, dedicated to restoring degraded landscapes and bringing life back to the planet. And so John D. Liu is a Chinese-American filmmaker, ecologist, and environmental educator. He's best known for documenting large-scale ecosystem restoration projects around the world. His work demonstrates how barren, eroded lands can be transformed into lush, thriving ecosystems, proving that regeneration is possible, even in seemingly hopeless conditions. His journey in work includes filmmaking with purpose. He started out as a TV journalist, but after witnessing the success of a massive land restoration project in China, he shifted his focus. He now films work documenting some of this project. The Loess Plateau project is his most famous work, documenting this project in China. It turned a vast desert area, roughly the size of the country of Belgium, into fertile farmland by restoring natural water cycles, planting trees, and implementing regenerative practices. This project lifted millions of people out of poverty, proving that restoring ecosystems can directly improve human livelihoods. John D. Liu is also the founder of Ecosystem Restoration Camps, a global movement that creates hands-on camps where volunteers learn and implement regenerative practices to restore degraded land. Some of his films, Green Gold in 2012, was a powerful documentary showcasing successful large-scale landscape restoration efforts around the world. And from 2009, he did a film called Hope in a Changing Climate, another inspiring film highlighting restoration success stories in China, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. Liu's films have inspired countless people to take action, including farmers, activists, and policy makers. So some of the key principles of John D. Liu's work are water cycle restoration, focusing on restoring natural hydrology through swales, terraces, and reforestation. Also soil regeneration, which is using compost, cover crops, and organic practices to build healthy soil. Also community involvement. John D. Liu believes in empowering local communities by giving them the tools and knowledge to regenerate their own lands. and also biodiversity restoration. He emphasizes planting native and diverse plant species to create resilient ecosystems. So, yeah, he has, again, his documentaries are called, this one called Green Gold is a must watch for anyone passionate about ecosystem restoration. And at the ecosystem restoration camps, it's a global network where people gather to learn and practice large scale land regeneration. So Liu's message is one of hope and empowerment, showing that no matter how damaged the land, it can be brought back to life with care and commitment. Oh, and then I asked, can you share with us about syntropic agriculture? Because I know Ernst Goetsch down in Brazil is another one of my inspirational teachers. So, oh yes, ChatGPT says in syntropic agriculture is such a beautiful and powerful approach. It's like creating nature-inspired food forests that restore ecosystems while providing abundant food. So syntropic agriculture is a regenerative farming system that mimics the way natural forests grow. It's based on biodiversity, soil regeneration, and dynamic planting cycles, creating self-sustaining, highly productive ecosystems. Now, self-sustaining is so important because it keeps going even after the humans are gone. And that's what makes it so fun. It's like a living system that grows on its own. So some of the key principles of syntropic agriculture are successional planting, which is planting in succession from pioneer species that start out fast growing, nitrogen fixing, and later on in mid to late succession, other plants like fruit, nut, and canopy trees are planted or grow. And this creates layers of productivity over time. Also, high density diverse planting. Instead of monoculture, syntropic farms plant many species together, just like in a natural forest. This creates mutual support and soil fertility through plant interaction. Okay, so also chop and drop mulching, which we do here using our mulching lawnmower and our wood chipper. When regularly pruning trees and plants, it creates a continuous mulch layer, feeding the soil with organic matter and improving water retention. So it's like it comes right back into the soil and feeds the next generation. Soil fertility through biomass relies on continuous biomass production, which is pruned branches and leaves to enrich the soil, creating a living, nutrient-rich environment. And I love this part, nature as the teacher. The philosophy embraces observing and learning from nature, allowing the system to evolve and self-regulate. And this is how I learned so much more than I did just as an organic gardener. After coming to this food forest that was already growing with ancient trees. So the visionary behind syntropic agriculture is Ernst Goetsch. He's a Swiss farmer and brilliant scientist. He pioneered the syntropic agriculture in Brazil in the 1980s, and he transformed a degraded hillside mountain, it looked like to me, into lush it was like bare when he got there, and he turned it into lush thriving forests by applying syntropic principles. His methods are now practiced worldwide, especially in tropical and subtropical regions. So yeah, syntropic agriculture, which is also like food forestry, regenerates soil, boosts biodiversity, creating habitats for pollinators, birds, and beneficial insects. And healthy soil for soil life too is an important part of it. So it's more drought resilient as plants are planted in layers, and mulch reduces water evaporation. And having trees in the soil helps retain water in the soil because, as you can see, the patterns in the trees here, they see how the branches go up to the sky and they sort of draw the water down. They can even draw moisture out of the clouds, and it condenses and flows down the branches onto the trunks and into the soil. So forests help with drought resilience because trees are in them too. And also trees help reduce the evaporation by providing some shade. So, and here's another benefit of syntropic agriculture, increased productivity over time. The system becomes more fertile and abundant year after year, unlike conventional farms that degrade over time. And it also, the benefit of syntropic agriculture is carbon sequestration. These syntropic systems capture and store carbon, helping fight climate change. There really is no worry about climate change if we just plant more trees. Okay, so the last one I asked about was Africa, and Africa is absolutely witnessing some inspiring food forest projects that are transforming landscapes and communities. There's the Green Wall Initiative, the Great Green Wall Initiative, an ambitious project aiming to create an 8,000-kilometer stretch of trees and vegetation across the width of Africa, from Senegal to Djibouti. This initiative seeks to combat desertification, restore degraded lands, and promote sustainable livelihoods in the Sahel region. By integrating food forests into this greenbelt, communities benefit from increased food security and ecological resilience. And down here, there's a picture. I think this is the one he was talking about. This is the food forest mega project that's that they're putting in to cover all the desert, huge swath of desert. Okay, and there's another initiative called Food and Trees for Africa, and that is South Africa's first social enterprise dedicated to sustainable development. Their Food Forest Initiative was launched in 2017, and it establishes natural systems to provide a long-term supply of food, biodiversity, and nature to communities. The approach involves planting indigenous pioneer species to quickly form a canopy, followed by fruit trees, berry bushes, perennial herbs, legumes, and vegetables. And planting pioneer species is such a great idea, even here in Southern California, where we have super dry weather and sometimes it feels like nothing will grow. There are some shrubby natives that will grow. And rather than killing off those natives and trying to plant something delicate in there, I have learned that it's nice to allow those pioneer species to grow and then add some of your more beloved plants in the shelter of them. Sometimes you need shelter from the sunlight. You need some shade for the plant to grow in, or shelter from the wind. So a pioneer species is something that's hardier than other species and will get the garden party growing. And then you can begin bringing in more delicate species over time. Okay, so yeah, let's see. The approach involves planting indigenous pioneer species to quickly form a canopy and also anchor the soil. And then you start adding your fruit trees, berry bushes, perennial herbs, legumes, and veggies. You can find more about this one on Food and Trees for Africa. You can find the Great Green Wall on YouTube. And here on planetwild.com, you can see Trees for the Future in Senegal, which collaborates with local communities to plant diverse species of native trees, shrubs, veggies, and plants. These food forests not only restore degraded lands, but also provide sustainable food sources and improve soil health, which goes to say with every food forest, it will provide sustainable food sources and improve soil health. So this initiative here called Trees for the Future in Senegal is part of a broader movement contributing to Africa's Great Green Wall. Yay! How wonderful. This is great news. Also in the Nile Basin, there's reforestation going on in Kenya. So they're adopting food forests to restore wetlands and enhance biodiversity. This agroforestry technique involves intercropping a variety of food crops like cereals, fruits, vegetables, tubers, and herbs among woody trees on the same piece of land. This approach not only improves food security, but also promotes sustainable land management practices. So plants do well when they're growing together in community. And I go into this quite a bit in some of my writings, how the diversity helps plants survive. They don't do well in a monocrop. Okay, and now in Cameroon, there's a food forest buffer. They're planting 15,000 native trees, and this initiative seeks to sustain and enhance the forest's ecosystem services, increase species diversity, and develop the capacity and livelihoods of the local population. You can find this on International Tree Foundation. It showcases the transformative power of food forests in promoting ecological restoration, food security, and sustainable livelihoods across Africa. So that's cool. And isn't it inspiring to see how communities are harnessing the power of nature to create sustainable futures? It really is. And then I think I asked one more question about a guy that I called the forest man who planted trees. And ChatGPT was able to find him right away. You're going to love the story of Jadev Molai Payeng, famously known as the forest man of India. His dedication to reforesting a barren landscape is one of the most inspiring examples of human perseverance and love for nature. So he is an Indian environmental activist. And since 1979, he single-handedly transformed a barren sandbar into a 1,360-acre forest, which is larger than Central Park in New York City. His story began with dying snakes. As a teenager, Payeng noticed dozens of dead snakes on the sandbar, killed by the extreme heat due to the lack of tree cover. Heartbroken, he realized that the land needed trees to sustain life. So planting began in 1979, when at just 16 years old, Payeng started planting bamboo seedlings. Every day he would tend to them, bringing water and protecting them from animals. Decades of dedication. For over 40 years, he continued planting trees, adding native species like cotton trees, ficus, and red silkwood. And then wildlife returned. His forest eventually became home to tigers, elephants, deer, rhinos, and a vast array of birds and insects. What was once a barren wasteland became a thriving ecosystem of biodiversity. And Payeng's dedication earned him the Padma Shri Award, which is one of India's highest civilian honors, in 2015. So now it's named the Molai Forest, and wild elephants, Bengal tigers, and other rare species have made it their home. So, and it's sequestering carbon and cooling. It's helping combat climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide and reducing heat in the region. That's a beautiful thing. If people are worried about carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, plant more trees. They absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So they are our air purifying system. It also stabilizes the soil and reduces erosion along the river, because the roots of the trees that he planted are holding that soil in place. So you can find his inspiring story here. It's called Forest Man, and also The Man Who Planted a Forest. And ChatGPT goes, isn't it amazing how one person's love and dedication can restore an entire ecosystem? And it encourages me by saying, you're doing the same by creating and inspiring others with your food forest projects. So it's wonderful because we all are interconnected, and we really do learn so much from each other. So I thought you might enjoy hearing about ancient food forests and some of the new food forest projects that are coming along. And I hope if you enjoy this video, you will give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and let me know if you're creating a food forest project and if you have any comments about food forests in general or any questions about creating a food forest. And also you can visit my websites, alohafoodforest.com, where you can learn a lot about our food forest. And also at foodforestuniversity.com, there's a free 8-step online school that will take you step by step through creating your own food forest garden at your home. Because that's what I specialize in here is home food forest gardens. And I'm sending you lots of love and aloha. And I thank you for watching this video.